It's another Seattle Kraken game day. The good news is we're playing a team that we actually know how to beat. Let's talk about it on today's episode of Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken. I'm your host, Erica L. Ayala, also a contributor over at CBS Sports, where I write a lot about women's basketball. So, of course, we are in the throes of the NCAA tournament, also contribute on the NHL side of things every once in a while. Listen, the Seattle Kraken have a game today. We know that we've had some success against California teams that aren't named the LA Kings. And so we're looking to continue that. But there are definitely some things that have been happening in the last handful of days that quite honestly don't make any sense. So we know the Seattle Kraken are now officially mathematically eliminated because of that loss to the LA Kings. That was another game where Dave Hakstol was saying that the Seattle Kraken left some stuff in the tank. You know, that loss against Dallas, the loss against the Kings, and just can't seem to get a good cadence. And I wonder if some of that is just because we're not letting the kids play. I mean, Shane Wright had a great game. We know that, we had a conversation about Ryan Winterton, Logan Morrison, and Ty Cartier, that fourth line. You know, I guess I just don't understand. And it goes back to something one of our Locked On Kraken insiders said, and one of our regular contributors on the YouTube channel, which if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do that. Make sure you are watching some of the retro videos to help us get to monetization. But I guess what I'm saying is, or what I want to bring up, this comment that one of our insiders and everydayers says all the time, or in the last several weeks at least. We don't want to see the Seattle Kraken doing the same old Kraken crap. And it kind of feels that way. I don't know. Am I overthinking it? When you have Shane Wright, when you have Logan, when you have Ryan, why aren't we playing them all and play them together? Of course, they're going to have, a little bit more chemistry and symmetry. They play together for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. And Dave Hakstol keeps saying, there are other goals that we have. He's, of course, the playoffs are not in the picture, which we have to talk about if this season is a failure. We can officially talk about it now. And I want to do that next week because we have to have a real conversation about what happened this year. I'm a bit miffed. It just, anyway. But if there's still goals, I don't know that doing what we've done for the last handful of games, the last 70 plus games, how is that helping us reach the goals? Or is this the last gasp for, some guys just to make them, I don't know, to help them get a contract somewhere else? I mean, at what point is that kind of not our problem? Is that a little harsh? I don't know. But we've only got a handful of games left here. And I don't know why we're not giving Shane some reps with some, okay. I guess I'm of a few different minds. One is give Shane Wright all the reps. But also, if we have other young guys up, why are they not also getting reps? At this point, how is it going to hurt us? The season is done. We're not making the playoffs. Sure, you want to win games, but we haven't been winning games with the guys on the NHL squad. So why not just let the kids play? I want to take a look over at Natural Stat Trick. I might have to do it in the next segment because I somehow lost the window. But I took a look at Natural Stat Trick because I just wasn't understanding the lines. I wasn't understanding why we weren't letting the kids play all together. So the lineup for the Dallas Stars, we had there was no, or at least the projected lineup, it had no Shane Wright. So you had Tolvanen, Beniers, and Bjorkstrand, Schwartz, McCann, and Eberle. You know I like the Triple J's together. Tanev, Gord, and Burakovsky, and then Cartier, Morrison, Logan Morrison, and Ryan Winterton. But that got changed for the game against the LA Kings. And we saw Shane Wright with Eberle and McCann, or no, I think McCann was still centering another line. See, I got to pull it up here. Apologies for those. Yeah, I had it open earlier and I guess I closed the window by accident. So if we look at the forward lines for the Seattle Kraken versus the LA Kings, some things were switched around and it didn't work. It didn't work. The Seattle Kraken lose 5-2 to the LA Kings. You heard Dave Hakstol. I mentioned it at the top of the show, but you heard him say that we kind of left some things on the table. Why are we still hearing that? Why are we still accepting that at this point in the season? I'm still looking for this shift report here, or the forward lines, excuse me. And so, okay, yeah, McCann centered Tomas Tatar and Andrei Burakovsky. So Tatar slotted back in. Beniers centered Tolvanen on the left, Bjorkstrand on the right. Jaden Schwartz was on the left, Eberle on the right, Shane Wright in the middle, and Cartier on the left, Brandon Tanev on the right with Yanni Gord in the middle. So, no Ryan, no Logan. I don't know why, but what I do like is that the line that saw the most time on ice per natural stat trick was that Schwartz, Wright, Eberle line. So Shane Wright getting a decent amount of time, and that's going to be good for his development. But yeah, what do we want to see tonight? We're going to play the Anaheim Ducks. We've beat that team before, but I am not by any means saying that this is going to be a cakewalk for the Seattle Kraken, because quite honestly, not much has been this season. But coming up next on today's episode of Locked on Kraken, I'm going to give you some things to watch, some stats, some facts, some notes, some quotes. We're not going to play any video for today, but I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of what we heard, including one of our defensemen not with the team. Don't have much more than that, but we'll talk about that coming up on the other side of this episode of Locked on Kraken. All right, Seattle hockey fans, today's episode of Locked on Kraken brought to you by our friends at Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. So get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal information. The claim as of Q1 2024 validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risks, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfer is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer. So happy investing, everyone. Thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. And of course, you know that Locked On has the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. We're bringing you the biggest stories without all of the indirect, talking heads. Although I guess I am a talking head, but we want to give you all of the information. I know a lot of hosts have been doing a great job covering women's basketball, which is all the buzz right now. So watch our 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, let's talk about the Seattle Kraken. They're going to end a road trip in Anaheim. I mean, they're only in California, so not too far, but played San Jose, lost to the Kings, and now are looking to get yet another win against the Anaheim Ducks. We had a great squad cast right before I left to go to before I left to go to Albany to cover the women's Sweet 16 and Elite 8. And we had a great crossover squad cast episode, if you will, with our guy. You know him, you love him, Jason JD Hernandez, also known as the voice of the Coachella Valley Firebirds. We're going to talk a little bit about the Firebirds in the next segment. But, it's, if you think it's been tough for Kraken fans, I can only imagine how some other teams like the Anaheim Ducks feel, maybe even Chicago's team. So, we'll take that. But here is the rundown. 75 points on the season for the Seattle Kraken, 31, 31, and 13. Away record, 15, 14, and 7. Jared McCann is our leading scorer, 60 points. He's been holding it down. We are expecting Pierre-Edouard Bellemare to be back in the lineup, so McCann will be back on the wing. That's one of the changes that we will see. But come on, let the young kids play. That's what I have to say. Overall record for the Anaheim Ducks, you can see 25, 47, yikes, and 4. Their last 10, they're 2-7-1. We're 3-6-1 in our last 10. I'm going to keep this up here as I read off just a few other notes, and I'm going to start with this one because I thought it was funny. So the note, if you will, from the amazing Seattle Kraken PR team is that Matty Beniers is 1 point away from recording his 100th point as a member of the Seattle Kraken, and I thought it was also funny because we also know that Jordan Eberle is 1 goal shy of 300 NHL goals. And I saw someone on social media ask, so if Matty Beniers gets the primary assist on Eberle's goal, then, who gets the puck? I thought that was really funny. And I it's a good question. I don't know. Who do you think should get the puck? Maybe that'll be our question of the day. Is there like a protocol? Is 300 more important than your first 100? I don't know. I kind of think it might be the other way around. Does Jordan Eberle need another puck, or is he fine to just pick one out of the warm-up bin and just kind of fake it? I don't know. Do they get joint custody? Who knows? I mean, I certainly don't. So if you have any intel, let me know at Locked On Kraken. I would love to know. Some other notes. I mentioned this and really don't have more for you, but Adam Larsson not with the team at the moment. So we will not see him in the lineup. So we'll see what that means. There's been a few players up and down with regard to a defenseman for the Seattle Kraken. But again, some of the guys that we've been getting up from the Coachella Valley Firebirds, we haven't seen them crack the lineup. So I'm very curious to see what we see in the lineup. So again, Bellemare in the lineup today. Adam Larsson wasn't at skate today. Allison Lucan did ask Dave Hakstol. He confirmed that he's away from the team. Allison following up saying that it's for personal reasons. So of course we hope everything is okay there. But speaking of Allison Lucan, I do want to get into some 3 game essentials here quickly. Looking for a sweep of the Anaheim Ducks. So this is something that it has been a problem all year. And so the first key that Allison has is puck play. She says that Coach Hack pointed out Seattle's inability to limit mistakes, limit mistakes and turnovers as fuel for the Kings offense. At even strength play in the offensive zone, the Kraken won just 11.8% of all loose puck battles. LA won 15%. And that goes back to just the hustle. You got to put in the work. You have to put in the work because those 50-50 puck battles, they make a difference, And right now, the Seattle Kraken, as Dave Hakstol also said, they're leaving stuff in the tank, but that's not a new thing. That's been all season. I've been clamoring about it all season. Anyway, so Allison talks about the Seattle Kraken returning to their style of play, which they have seen versus the Ducks, which is not to give any easy opportunities to their opponent, talking about puck protection, 5-on-5 takeaways, and the like. Power play effectiveness is Allison Lukan's second key to the game. She says that the personnel has looked a little bit different on the power play. I mean, a lot has looked different for the Seattle Kraken. She writes, wingers on flanks have switched with the defender playing high in the zone frequently. And on a few occasions, we've seen two forwards sink lower into the zone to challenge net front. I like that. I think we need to be more aggressive. We've been looking maybe for the perfect pass just overall, but I think on special teams and the power play in particular. So I like us getting a little bit deeper into the zone and changing things up there. As a result, shot quality has improved when playing with the skater advantage, and Seattle's power play goals in 3 of their last 5 matchups, including Thursday's games versus the Kings. This matters, of course, because 2 of those 3 games were against the Ducks, a team that takes the most penalties in the league. So the switch, the more aggressive play, Allison says, also contributing to success. We know that we're likely to get in the box. We heard some of the guys talk about the frustration bubbling over for the Anaheim Ducks. We know that's been a problem in the last handful of games. JD was actually texting me. I mean, I was covering the women's game, but he was texting me, women's NCAA. He's texting me, I told you, the Ducks take too many penalties. And he's absolutely right. So this is an opportunity for us to expose with our new look power play. Finally, and usually we end with know thy opponent. It actually says the opponent. Anyway, this will certainly look the team will certainly look familiar since the Kraken and Ducks have played each other twice in the last 10 days. The second of those matches, a 4-2 win on March 28th, happy birthday to my sisters, included a record-setting 10 power play opportunities for Seattle. With that memory perhaps still fresh, the Kraken will be ready for an opponent that may be fired up for to avenge what was an undisciplined 60 minutes by them in the last outing. So that is very interesting. Can the Ducks clean it up? Well, that's for them to decide. But for me, I'm looking at what the Seattle Kraken can do. And I think you let the kids play. So I don't know if that's what we're going to do. We got Pierre-Edouard Bellemare in the lineup, so we'll see what happens there. I don't think this means that Shane Wright will be out of the lineup, but I'm curious to see what happens. And I mean, again, just let the kiddos play. They're here for a reason. The season, at least the playoffs for this season, is out of reach. I hear you. You want to establish good habits. Sometimes the way you get veterans to have good habits is by seeing young players have to work to establish those habits, and you get a recommitment to those habits. And maybe that's why he's doing a little bit of the back and forth, getting Tomas Tatar back in, getting Pierre-Edouard Bellemare back in. We did also hear from Dave this week that these conversations are ongoing. There shouldn't be any surprises. It's not that always like an in-depth conversation, but players know what to expect, and they're given at least enough of a rationale as to why. So we'll see what happens. I say let the kids play, but, they don't pay me the big bucks to coach the Seattle Kraken. Although, maybe they should. I'd be down for it. I'd be down for it. They could fire me in a week. Let me just get a week's salary at that level, and I think I'll be all right. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Firebirds coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken also brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what will keep your ride or die alive. eBay Motors does everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP. Bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. And the eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Get your whip in shape with eBay Motors. Closing her out here, folks. The Coachella Valley Firebirds. We know either way, we're going to have postseason play. But it's not just the Firebirds, because our Kansas City Mavericks have been crushing it as well. You heard JD and I talk about that. So the last outing was against the Barracuda, and we had to take this one late in the game. Defeated the Barracuda on Thursday, final score of 3-1. We got all three of our goals in the third frame. And so, I love that we're getting these wins, but also, why do we got to make it so hard? 3 stars of the game. We've got Hughes, Drieger, and Melanson, Jacob Melanson. We've talked about him a lot, including when he spent some time with Kansas City. So you'll love to see that. Here's some things that I'd like to see the Firebirds improve upon. Firebirds gave up 3 power plays, but no conversions on those power plays. So that's the good news. But we also had 5 of our own. Now, granted, there's some pieces missing for the power play, I'm sure, with I almost said Melanson, with Logan, with Shane, and Ryan up with the big leagues. So just something to note. Chris Drieger for the Coachella Valley Firebirds, he pushed aside 34 of 35 shots faced. So he's been doing really great. That's another question, though, that the Seattle Kraken are going to have to answer. We've also signed some players that are going to be in the mix for Coachella Valley, maybe Kansas City, but also how does that impact the big league? So I'm very curious. I almost want us to get through this regular season so we can start talking about the off season, because I think it's going to be exciting. So let's just stick with the Firebirds for a little bit. And then next week, we'll talk a little bit about the Kansas City Mavericks. But here's your upcoming schedule. The upcoming schedule for your very own Coachella Valley Firebirds. This Saturday, they're at Abbotsford to play the Canucks, Saturday and Sunday. Then on Wednesday, they return home. They have a little bit of a home stint here where they're going to play the Ontario Reign, Bakersfield Condors on Friday. So that's Wednesday, April 10th, Ontario. Then on Friday, the Condors. On Sunday, the San Diego Gulls. And then Wednesday, the Tucson Roadrunners. And they will close out the regular season at home. They have a home and home against the San Diego Gulls, April 20th, April 21st. So if you're looking to get out to the Valley, do that soon to catch the Coachella Valley Firebirds. In the AHL, we talked a little bit about Hershey. Yeah, I peeped that they were the first team to clinch. And let's take a look at the standings. Hershey in, Providence Bruins in. That's in, of course, the Atlantic Division. You've got in the Central Division, our good friend Ann Kimmel covers, the Nashville Predators. I kind of stopped looking at the wild card, but maybe I should just for Ann's sake. But the Milwaukee Admirals in, Grand Rapids Griffins in, and the Rockford Ice Hogs in the Central Division. And then you have lots of folks in the Pacific: Coachella, Ontario, Tucson, Colorado, Abbotsford, Bakersfield, and Calgary have all clinched a playoff position. The only team to have clinched outright their conference, or their division, Hershey. So things definitely tight in the Pacific Division. And you love to see it. I personally think that it's great that we, are in a pretty tight division. So there you go. But we've got some games for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. We can update you on how they did over the weekend next week on Locked on Kraken. And for the insiders, the timing got a little bit away, but over the weekend, probably Saturday, because we have games for the NCAA tonight and Sunday. So probably Saturday, make sure to check your messages. I will have a link. I'll do a live stream and also have that recording available for you. We did the Ask Me Anything. And so last call, and I'll send you a message as well. But last call, if you have any messages, if you have any burning questions, I know some people have asked about Frozen 4. We'll talk about that. Some people have asked about the PWHL, who has the name for their first ever trophy. We can talk about that. I talked about that on Locked on NHL today. I have a lot of thoughts about the Seattle Kraken. Obviously, that's fair game. And yeah, if you have any questions about the NCAA, send those over as well. That's for insiders. But anyone else, if you want to follow my work, you can head over to blackrosiemedia.com or at Erica_L for Lindsay _Ayala, which is my last name, on the Twitter machine, or X, I guess. It's about to be an ex of mine. Anyway, you can follow me over there as well and ask either there or at Locked on Kraken. You know what I say? I know I took a little bit of time away, so I appreciate your patience, but be kind to yourselves. Take time away if you need to. Get clarification when you don't understand something. But also be kind to other people. Be thoughtful, be accommodating when it's when you're able. And of course, we say hold fast, stay true. Let's go Kraken. You take on the Anaheim Ducks. And then we've got 2 more games at home for the rest of the season. Finish it out on the road. We'll talk about all of that in the days to come. Peace out, everybody. I'll catch you on the next episode.